Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Ask me why I'm so excited. I know you already know, but play along. I got the book. I got the book. I got the book. I can't believe it. Okay, I got the book. I cannot tell you how I did this, so don't ask. But I got the book. Thank you, Greg Davis. No, I'm just kidding. He was reading it to me. No, I'm kidding. I have the most incredible behind the scenes team. I'll just leave it at that and say a huge thank you. You know what you did, and thank you so much. But I got the book and I'm reading it and I love it and I'm so excited. So we're going to break it all down. I'm going to just dive in. We're going to talk about it. Now, I have been asked by you guys to read it. I'm not allowed to do that because of copyright, but I certainly can summarize and give you my thoughts on it. And that's what I plan on doing. Guys, I got the book. We're going to be talking Betrayal. If you're new here, I'm Jen. That's something I do. I make silly noises with the book titles. If you hear me refer back to Tom Bauer's original book, it was Revenge. Now it's Betrayal. It was going to be Mwahaha, but then it kind of became the Count from Sesame Street. Anyway, I'm Jen. Please do make sure you're subscribed. Hit the thumbs up. I really want you to share this one if you have hype and you feel like using it. This one would be a fantastic one. I want people to know I've got the book. I'm covering it. Oh, let's dive in. I'm so excited. Also, in case you didn't know, I have new merch. I won't even spend time on it, but here you go. Again, if you're new here, it's all about geese. One of Megan's followers called me a drunk goose. They said I sound like a drunk goose. I've been honking ever since. I love geese. There you go. Check out the new merch. All right, let's dive in, shall we? I'm so excited. I got the book. Betrayal. Okay, in case you don't know, here you go. It launched today in the UK. But again, by some means, I was able to get this book. I can't even believe it. I'm so excited. So let's dive in. Let's talk about it. First of all, I'm coming fresh and live. I hit record and then I'm going to hit upload. So yeah, you're getting it just right as I'm reading it. So I've got notes. Normally I don't look down like this, but I'm going to because I've just read it and I've got notes I want to talk about to keep myself organized on this. And I really want to dive in. I thought first I could tell you about the contents of the book. And then I read the prologue and I read chapter 1. And I thought we could talk about that. And then I'll just keep going and put out as many videos as I possibly can on this thing. I'm so excited. Can I just tell you, I know, okay, maybe I'm a little biased, but I love this book so far. I'm prologue in chapter 1. It is fantastic. I'm just reading, and just loving it. Tom Bauer does not disappoint. He writes such a good book. You won't be disappointed. All right, so the contents. I can just tell you the chapter name so that way you'll know what you're in for if you want to do that. So it's, there are, let's see here. Looks like 43 chapters to this thing. So here you go. Prologue, Manchester, global celebrity, the Tea Party. Chapter 4 is William and Harry. Chapter 5 is briefings. 6 is divisive agent. 7 is leaving Britain. 8 is Sandringham. 9 is freedom. 10 is Netflix. 11 is my truth. 12 is the me you can't see. 13 is security. 14 is spare. 15 is jubilee. 16 is I never said it right. Archetypes. 17 is the funeral. 18 is protection. 19 is publication. 20 is high court. 21 is coronation. 22 is the chase. Oh, I'm excited for that. That's the near catastrophic car chase, I assume. 23 is cross-examination. 24 is blow up. 25 is out of Africa. 26 is Dusseldorf. 27 is where billionaires escape from millionaires. 28 is Endgame. 29, the biggest losers. 30 is a living legend. 31 is bad optics. 32 is the brand. 33, Nigeria. 34, battling. 35, Colombia. 36, sidelined. 37, Centibale. 38, American Hustle. 39 is Vancouver. 40 is Meghan, as ever. 41 is Contrasting Lives. 42 is The Last Calamity. 43 is Make or Break. And then it has acknowledgments, endnotes, and index. All right. So those are the contents for this. Let's dive in, shall we? Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. So again, this is the book Betrayal. As I understand it, as of today, it launched in the UK, available, I believe, on Kindle and hardback. And then as I've understood it, you can order it to America. It's going to take a few days to get there. So just know that. I don't know about other countries. You'll have to look into that. But let's talk, shall we? All right, prologue. I've got lots of notes, lots of highlights here. I just want to kind of go into and talk about. Okay, so the prologue is just, obviously it's the overview. It's kind of what we're in for, and it is juicy. He talks about this book is going to open during the momentous week of Queen Elizabeth II's death in September 2022. So he reminds us that in Revenge, it was all about, well, it was about a lot of things, but especially about Meghan and her backstory. And then this picks up on their lives together. Okay. So just off the top of my head and some of my notes I have here, he immediately, I'm talking like second paragraph here, he goes into how Meghan likes to revel in Harry's love for her. He loves me so much. He loves me. But he doesn't talk about how, I think that's the beauty of Tom Bower. It's the things that he doesn't say as much as the things he says. So he does not talk about, and it allows us to draw our own conclusions, how she never says it to him. I always find that completely interesting. He talks about how Harry has become, how Harry is the spare, but how interesting it is to see him become the spare in his own marriage, something that we all refer to. Again, I'm going over the prologue right now. They talk about, he goes into how he assumes that Meghan will get bored and try to find a Silicon Valley billionaire, but no luck so far. Good luck with that. He really lays into Meghan's incessant search for fame, publicity, being known, however you want to say that, how Meghan can't let things go without posting photos, videos, anything that will establish herself. He talks about her positioning herself as a global icon. That's what she's ultimately aiming for, and how she wants to give these interviews, and but she'll only do it with people that she has selected under the guise of it being a, quote, trusted writer. So that's always, of course, a point that we talk about. He talks about how it's interesting that she picks these specific trusted writers, but it's always light on substance. There's not much there, which is so fun. I love him so much. He calls her, we've heard this leading into this, so it's fine. He calls her a little known B-list actress, and then talks about how it was her marriage, of course, that launched her more into global stardom, but that she, of course, uses it as more of a revolt, a way to make money, a lucrative revolt, often against the UK, the monarchy, things like that. Okay. Let's see here. What else? This is again still in the prologue here. And the prologue is the first 3 pages of the book. Okay. So again, it was 5 years ago that he wrote Revenge, and it was the war against the Windsors. And he talks about how that he really wanted to expose the truth of Meghan's past. And boy, did he ever. I love that book so much. But since then, how he calls the climax of her truth when she appeared on the Oprah interview in 2021, but then goes into how since then it's interesting to watch she and Harry, well, her distance herself from Harry, but while clinging to his love of her. Okay. So he talks about her breathtaking ambition. And before you say, what? No, it's not a good thing. That she bears little resemblance to actual facts. No such thing as humiliation for her, in his opinion. No criticism seems to cripple that ambition that she has for being well known. And then he goes into, of course, again in the prologue, a little bit. He talks about Andrew for a second and how it shocked Harry in particular. He's not sure if Meghan understands the potential consequences, but he feels like Harry is shocked in seeing that Andrew has been stripped, and now he's worried about future King William. And I'm like, yes. I mean, how can Meghan not understand? And this is my hypothesis. I'm just wondering, like, as I was reading this, I was thinking, how does she not? I guess that's narcissism for you. I don't know, allegedly, right? But how does she not see that this could be a big deal for the both of them? But anyway, maybe she just thinks she's more famous than that. I don't know. He calls 2026 a potential make or break year for them. I think we're seeing it play out in real time. I believe that this is the downfall. I've said that. I think we're seeing it with everything, the Netflix, this book, this Disaster Australia tour, and so much more. I really think we're seeing it in real time. All right, let's go into chapter 1, shall we? So chapter 1 talks about Manchester, the 5th of September, 2022. The overall thing with this chapter, a lot of it is spent talking about, hold on, who could forget, right? Who could forget? One of my favorite things ever. I've been over this speech at length, but this is the One Young World event it was September 2022 that she addressed people at this One Young World event. He really does a good job in this chapter going behind the scenes of this. It sounds like, if I understand it correctly, he has spoken at length with her name. There's Ella Robertson, and there is, hold on 1 second, Ella Robertson and Kate Robertson. So Kate is the mother, and then her daughter Ella. Kate co-founded the One Young World, if I understand that correctly. Okay. So they were nervous about inviting Meghan to Manchester to speak. And they go into all the reasons that they were nervous about inviting her. They talk about how she's becoming, at this time, more and more known for promoting herself rather than the cause. But people were still, this was when people, according to Tom, I understand that we might feel differently, but a lot of people were still under the impression that she had suffered at the Istwards. If you're new here, I say that when referring to race or sex or something, because of a YouTube thing. But the claims that she made against the royal family. Okay. So people were still believing that she was a victim. It was during this time of this event that he's focusing on, but he's also talking about this was time of 3 headlines they had. They had called it compassion in action. Again, think about how funny that is. The idea that these two are preaching compassion. Okay, sure. Look how they've treated both families, and they're doing compassion in action. But it was, they were supposed to first appear at this event, the One Young World, and then they were going to dash to Dusseldorf to promote the 2023 Invictus Games. And then they were going to return to London for the Well Child Awards. Okay. Again, he's focusing on, during this time, many believed that they were the victims here, especially Meghan. And then Okay, so the organizer of this event, again, it was Kate and Ella. Kate, the mother, Ella, the daughter. They were concerned, but Ella referred to them as the most attention-grabbing couple in the world. So they thought maybe they could bring attention to this cause and help. The interesting thing to me is he goes into what it sounds like disaster cluster, whatever word you want to use to describe it. It was between the Sussexes and their staff. That he really goes into that about like James Holt, for instance, and um the staff in California, nobody was on the same page. Like one would guarantee something and then somebody else would not guarantee something. And he didn't directly come out and say it, but we were left to infer that they were each getting different messages, and it was all at the whim of, the way I'm understanding it was all up to Meghan, you know. Even Harry was feeling a little left out, he talks about, but it was it seemed to be at her whim and all about her. He talks about how the priority was all about fueling Meghan's celebrity. So, of course, shocker to no one. Now we get into some juicy parts on page 6, where, again, it's all about this speech. So she was meant to give a speech that would focus on empowering women and gender equality. Okay. Pointedly, he talks about she was absolutely not supposed to speak about herself, and she was not supposed to wear expensive clothes. You can imagine where I'm going like that with this. I'm saying like this because she dressed like Wallace, and that makes me laugh. She can't not do things like that. But now he also goes into that the only two, I guess, from press, I don't know if you call Misan part of press, but that they would only allow Misan to take pictures of her, of course, and that being the only official photographer, and then Omid was allowed in there, but no other press was allowed. But it was, they go back into, like, previously she had worked with One Young World, and it was at, I hope I'm saying his name right, Misan's request. It was interesting to hear that he had gone to bat for Meghan and allegedly said something along the lines of, you need to choose her, she's going to be a star. So I never quite understood, why is that? Why did he push her so hard? I know they're in it for each other, and it sounds like for reasons like this, like he would be the only photographer there, and then he could turn around, he ended up selling the photos to Town and Country, the official photos to Town and Country. And so I'm sure it's, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing. But anyway, they go into a previous event where she did not receive top billing and she was mad. So she just backed out of the event last minute and said, oh no, they need me at Suits. And really burned a lot of people by doing that. They called her heartless and talked about how she was especially that way toward anybody who couldn't help her out. Where have we seen that? Oh yeah, everywhere. That seems to be the ongoing theme of her, for sure. Again, look at her dad. So then again, they go back to this speech that they were getting mixed messages, and it became a nightmare to get her to this event. It sounds like there was a lot of that. They call it chaos. Lots are referring to the chaos that was going on, and they ended up calling it a, quote, shit show. So there's a breakdown of relations between the Sussexes and the staff. They talk about that. That was still when they were going, or when they were with the royal family. They go into that. But then again, they get more into this 2022 event. Okay, let's go back to that, because he does kind of go back and forth to show her history with One Young World and how awful she has been to this organization and how this seemed to be the icing on the cake, the nail in the coffin, however you want to call it. Okay. So again, back in 2022, she was told not to speak about herself. So as we know, she ended up turning that whole speech into I, me. I believe it was like 50 some odd times she referred to herself, something like that. This is interesting because Tom goes into, she was mostly working on her effort. She was crafting herself a global image as this feminist, as a philanthropist, as an activist, an American mom. Okay. But he says that, again, these event hosts point out she just doesn't seem to have been a leader at anything other than creating her own image, which I thought was brilliant. I couldn't agree. I mean, I think most of us would agree with that. Prince Harry was frustrated. He didn't quite understand. I don't know that he does what's going on at any point. Let's see. Oh, again, before leading up to this event, it sounds like I'm jumping around. This is just how Tom wrote this. He was going back and forth from the event itself to the events leading up. So he goes back to the events leading up and says that the big thing was they reiterated over and over to Meghan, we don't want this to make it about yourself. We need you to understand what this cause is for and what you're meant to do to bring light to it. Oh, yeah. Yep. Told by the team that we got it. Okay. But of course, again, you saw what happened. In fact, she was given a completely different topic to talk about, didn't tell them that she changed it to be about herself. So she demanded control over things. And then Tom goes back and says it's just like when she worked with, remember that gentleman, Edward Einenful? I hope I'm saying that right. He was the one that was over Vogue at the time that she worked alongside of Vogue. And they fell out because she had wanted to be on the cover. And he said, no, that's not, we already have a cover and that's not what you're here for. So, again, Tom didn't directly spell it out, but we're made to understand that because she didn't get cover, things did not go well. Excuse me. And they had a falling out as a result. And then he points out that, of course, she was not asked to come back to the 2024 when Einenful was, I think he was retiring or something. It was his last edition featuring Vogue's 40 legendary women, and Meghan was not asked to be a part of it. So again, he's underlining that she burns every bridge. Again, this is my opinion. She seems to burn every bridge. And as a result, she can't see the big picture that she's doing so much damage to herself. And by making it about herself, she's losing. I mean, I don't even want to say it like that. I was going to say she's losing out on these opportunities. She gets more opportunities than the rest of us combined, but she can only think about herself and she's burning all these bridges. So it's just interesting to see. Okay, continuing on. So here we go. The topic she was supposed to be speaking about at this event is ethical leadership. It was supposed to be, how can we instill transparency, honesty, and integrity as core values for leaders? Do you remember what she spoke about? Nope. It was all about herself and what one young world saw in her and how she wanted to see that in herself. So again, he points out she's creating this narrative where she's once again a victim. And over the next 10 minutes, she spoke exclusively about herself and her rise to fame. The host ended up calling her tone deaf to others. Where have we heard that? Oh yeah, everywhere. And then goes on to call her toxic, which I mean, again, I think a lot of people would agree with that. Now, the interesting thing here is that he goes into how the audience was clapping politely, but again, we're led to believe that people were in shock because this is not what they were led to believe the speech would be about. They were shocked at her, and then Harry and Meghan needed to get back to evict the Dusseldorf promotion thing. So they were immediately, she did the speech and then they immediately left. So it sounds a lot like Australia, the Australia trip, where they believe that they just knocked it out of the park and did great. Whereas reality is, it sounds like everybody was so turned off by all of their actions and their behaviors. Well, it sounds like similar here, that everybody was disappointed and there ended up being a storm afterwards, but they rushed out, so they didn't see it. People were talking about that all she cared about was having the ingredients to boost her career, to add these like speeches and things to her resume or whatever she's building here. And didn't care that it was a complete disaster. Again, that seems to be the theme of the two of them. Okay, so for the next couple of days, it was hectic. And this is where they headed to Germany. They talk, Tom goes into how Harry seemed much happier outside of the UK going into Germany, and how he wanted to, it was his idea specifically, according to Tom Bower, that Harry play up the royal family's popularity while in Germany. So again, they're both absolutely, of course, writing the coattails, almost like cocktails, the coattails. Harry was so happy to be interviewed by people on the red carpet at the Dusseldorf promotion, and said he was, they talked about how pleased he was to be acknowledged for that. He seemed to be disgusted by the royal household. That was something that Tom Bower talked about, because at this time, the royal household was not communicating with Harry very well. The only thing that they told him is that King Charles would not be available to meet with him, and basically nobody else was interested either. So I thought that was pretty great. Unfortunately, it was during this time, it was the night, September 7th, 2022, when Edward Young, who is the Queen's private secretary, realized that we were about to lose Her Majesty the late Queen. Okay, so during that time, Operation London Bridge was underway, where they were working on plans for a state funeral, what Charles's, taking over the throne would look like, things like that. It was all underway behind the scenes. The following morning, they talk about, and this is how the chapter ends, that Harry and Meghan would finally see how much the royal family didn't trust them. So this is where we're going to go into what happened allegedly with the passing of the Queen and, their story versus the truth. So I can't wait to get into that. Again, it's going to be bittersweet because I love Her Majesty the late Queen so much. So I get a little sad reading about that, but I think this is so good to go over. This book is amazing. I hope I did it justice. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're as excited as I am to dive into this thing. Thank you so much, my behind the scenes team, for everything you did to make this happen. I'm so incredibly lucky to have this book and to dive in. So my plan is I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to put out content. I'm going to put out shorts. I'm going to just keep going and talking about it as I read it. So I'm telling you, check back lots. Make sure you're subscribed. Share this. Tell people about it. Come back and watch, and we'll go over this stuff together, because I'm so excited to dive into all this with you all. Thank you guys so much for understanding. Sorry, I had to look down at my notes a lot. I literally just read this and I didn't want to leave anything out. Again, I can't just read it, so I have to give you my summaries and my opinion. So that's what I'm doing. Everything in here is my opinion of the things I read from the Tom Bower Betrayal book. And I can't wait to keep going with this. So I will make it, I'll make it a playlist so you can watch them if you're watching later, whatever. But I'm just so excited about this. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. So normally I go into this whole thing at the end, And I will, but I'm going to tack on some stuff because I need to make shorts out of this. So if you want to watch me work and make some shorts, stick with me for a few more minutes. And also, if you're new here, at the end of every video, I'll go ahead and do it so that way you can see what it is. Okay. So normally I would end. I do want to thank my Patreon members. Thank you guys so much. My executive geese and ganders. I have Patreon. Check it out, patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. I have tons of bonus stuff. Okay. You get the idea. Also, check out my new merch. I have the flock. I also have I Give Up, which is really funny. It's a goose with a white flag, but here's the flock, which I love so much. It makes me so happy. And thank you to everybody who's already picked up the merch. I appreciate that. All right. This is where I go into the end of the video. So if you're new here, you always want to stay tuned to the end because I do this thing. I'll go ahead and do it and I'll show you what I do. And then I'm going to do some shorts. Here we go. So at the end, I go, hi. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is the part where I talk to you like we just left a party. We're in the car on the way home and we have to debrief. And I say, oh, how good is this book? I love Tom Bower so much. It's so good. I'm going to keep this short because I'm dying to get this up. I can't wait to surprise you all in real time and say, I got the book. I got the book. So I'm going to do that right now. I got the book. But yeah, I'm going to make some shorts really quick out of this because I feel like I looked down at my notes. So if you want to watch me work, you can. If you don't, click off. It's fine. But I'm just going to make some shorts so that way I can clip this at the end and put up some shorts so people know I got the book. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please do comment on this, share it. This is how the videos blow up. Tell people I've got the book. I'm covering it. I'll put out as much content as I possibly can. And so, yeah, we'll go from there and I'll cover this as much as I can. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you for being here. Do leave me comments. And, yeah, I can't wait to read more of this book. All right. I'm gonna let you go because I got to get on this. All right. I'm going to go into the shorts. This is the weird part because now you get to watch me work. Here we go. So normally with shorts, I just clip them out of the video itself, but where I had to look down at my notes, I thought I could do a couple where I just look at the camera and kind of talk. So again, if you don't want to watch this part, you certainly don't have to because this is kind of weird. But let's see. I thought, what can we make shorts out of? Okay. I thought I'll just do a short like this. Here we go. I'll say, hey guys, it's Jen. I just wanted to let you know that I got the book Betrayal. I'm so excited. So join me on my channel as I go through it. I'll give you my opinions of each chapter. I'll give you a summary, a synopsis. I'll talk about it and we'll compare it to Revenge, my other favorite Tom Bower book. And we'll go through this and talk about our thoughts on Harry and Meghan. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so that's one. So see, with that, I can put that in and put images over top. So there's that. Okay. Let's see, another one I thought of. See, these have to stick to a certain amount of seconds. So that's why I talk fast in those. So that way we can do this. Let's see here. Okay. There's another one I thought we could do, and that is okay. All right. I am absolutely loving the book Betrayal by Tom Bower. I say it like that on purpose, but Betrayal is such a good book. It's almost as good as Revenge. We'll see. But so far, I'd say maybe it's tied with that. It may end up being my favorite. I don't know. Anyway, I'm loving it. Join me on my channel and watch as I work my way through the book. Right now, I'm working on the prologue in chapter 1. The prologue is so good. It picks up just an overall thought of what's going on with Harry and Meghan, even goes into how Meghan prides herself on Harry loves her and nothing about her loving him. I think that is so funny and he's way too dumb to see it. So check my channel for all things Betrayal. And I can't wait to keep going with this book. Thank you. Okay, so there's another one. And then let's see. Okay. So in the book Betrayal by Tom Bower, it's the second, well, he's written lots of books, but it's the follow-up to Revenge. I love it. It's so good. I'm working my way through it. And in the prologue, it's interesting. He straight up talks about the Andrew of it all and how Prince Harry seems to, and the way I'm understanding it from what Tom Bower wrote, Prince Harry seems to understand how serious it is and how unimaginable it was that Andrew got stripped of titles and everything he got stripped of. So now he should be worried about future King William and how he could remove all of their titles and effectively banish him from Britain. So I think that's interesting. And Tom Bower questions whether or not Meghan actually understands the consequences of all this and the consequences of any deliberate aggravation. So I'm loving this book. I hope you are too, and I can't wait to keep going with it. Okay, so there's that. And then let's see. And then let's go into let's see. Okay, so I am working my way through the book Betrayal. In chapter 1, it's so good. I love it. It really goes into her One Young World speech, Meghan's, where she was asked not to talk about herself. And as we know, she completely ditched what she was supposed to talk about and made it all about herself, could not stop talking about herself. I believe there was 50 some odd references, something like that in the very short speech, all about herself and the things that One Young World saw in her. It was absolutely incredible to watch. Yep, he says nearly 50 times in just 1 minute. I'm sorry, just 10 minutes. That would have been even better if it was just 1 minute, just 10 minutes. She couldn't stop talking about herself. So this book is so juicy. I can't wait to keep going with it. Thanks so much. Be sure to check out my channel. All right. And then let's see here. Thank you guys for watching this. Sorry, this is kind of weird. I know I don't normally do this, but I just wanted to make these so that way I can get them out. Okay. So I am into this book, Betrayal. Of course, it's the follow-up. It's Tom Bower's follow-up book to Revenge. Betrayal is so good. So in chapter 1, he goes into Meghan really building this narrative around her suffering, how everything with her seems to be built around making this successful and really working on this narrative. And it's so interesting to see because Tom does a great job of not only spelling things out for us, but allowing us to understand what's going on. And it seems to be that the way I'm understanding it is that she was very capable of doing these events until it suited her to be the victim and capitalize on that. So again, nothing new, but as far as that goes out of Meghan, but interesting to see it spelled out like that and to see the timeline. So thank you, Tom. I'm loving this book. I can't wait to read more of it. All right. And then let's do... Okay. In chapter 1 of Betrayal, they go into this One Young World event that I'm completely obsessed with. That speech where she couldn't stop talking about herself. She wasn't supposed to talk about herself, wasn't supposed to wear expensive clothing, did both, of course. Talked about herself nearly 50 times in less than 10 minutes. The organizers since have, it sounds like, spoken to Tom Bower and talk about how they don't understand how she can give speeches like this because, well, the quote is, she's never really been a leader of anything other than her own image creation. Woo-hoo! I love it. But they still invited her to speak at this event, and then they ended up saying she completely blanked it. You can imagine. You can fill in the blanks in the comments if you want. I can't wait to keep going with this book. Thanks so much. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. All right. Okay. So in chapter 1 of Betrayal, Tom goes into Meghan's history. He does a good job going into this event with One Young World where she was speaking and making about herself, but also events leading up to it and previous times, such as the Vogue shoot where she was working with Edward Einenful, I hope I'm saying that right, and tried to make it so much about herself. She really wanted to be on the cover to the point where he had to tell her no, and they had a falling out, it sounds like, as a result, if I understand that correctly. And so because of all that, she has this history of burning bridges with people. She ends up doing that with One Young World, and nobody can stand her, it sounds like, because again, she keeps trying to make it about herself and treating people terribly, allegedly, along the way if her demands aren't met. So again, this is par for the course with the both of them, it sounds like, but it's so interesting to see it in this book laid out like this. Thank you, Tom Bauer. All right, I think that's going to do it for me for now. I may end up making more shorts. Let me just look and see if there's anything else. Okay, here we go. I'll do this one. So I'm working through the book Betrayal, and chapter 1, Tom Bauer goes into this One Young World speech. I'm stuck on it and how much Meghan made it about herself. Now, just so you know, the topic was supposed to be ethical leadership. So think about that. It's supposed to be about ethical leadership. Would you say it's ethical for Meghan to completely change the topic, not tell the organizers after working all this stuff out, making it all about herself and what One Young World saw in her? Absolutely unbelievable. Leave it to Meghan to do things like that. Anyway, I can't wait to keep going with this book. Be sure you stick with my channel as I continue to talk about it. Thank you so much. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to get this up. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited. I can't wait to bring you more on this book. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you again soon. Check back later today. I might have another video up. All right, take care. Bye-bye.